we're going to get into the bulk, the main part of tonight. And that is the MEG 2. So we've got one more trailer for the MEG trailer for more information about this movie. Thanks, Dan. And then we'll have a chat about it.
Welcome to Fun Island. Just don't miss out on the grilled shark.
Any sign of the match?
This doesn't look good.
Whoa, what is that? Probably the last MEG 2 trailer that we'll have, because now the movie's officially out.
Come on, you ugly bastard.
About me. Who would have ever thought team up together?
Just a little bit.
So that's the MEG 2, The Trench. So unfortunately, or fortunately for me, the MEG 2 came out today here in Australia. And so I made my way down to the cinema at lunchtime to watch it. And I gotta say, I'm not super impressed with it. And that's a bit disappointing. It's disappointing because I really thought that it would be a really great movie. Well, not a great movie. Okay, let's be honest. It was a shark movie. It was never going to be great. But I thought it would be a little bit more fun. And I thought there'd be a lot more sharks in it. And that's the problem. All the stuff that you see in the trailers about the MEG 2, they're about all the shark you actually get in the damn film. The movie ends up being this silly kind of action film about mining for rare earth minerals under the thermal cloud, and kind of forgets that it's a shark movie, which is a bit disappointing. Now, I don't want to spoil the film for anyone who's going to watch it, or obviously who hasn't watched it yet, just because we've been fortunate enough here in Australia to catch it early. And I wouldn't say, no, don't go see it. Just go in and be warned or pre-prepared before you go in that the shark element isn't that big in the film. And that's the most disappointing part of it, is that if you're hoping to see heaps and heaps and heaps of MEGs, no, it doesn't happen. And there's big chunks of the movie where there's just no shark talk at all, as they're more concerned about all of this mining shit that's going on in the film, and hardly ever touching a lot of the stuff about the actual MEG itself. So that leads to the biggest disappointment of the film, is that there is just not enough MEG. Now, if you're watching this trailer in the background, last night before going to the cinema, I actually rewatched the first MEG so I could, remember who some of the characters were, remember some of the side stories, etc. It was funny to see that the lady from the first MEG who's getting married and has the little dog, the little Pomeranian or whatever the hell it is, makes a reappearance in this film. And you can see her, and that's her there in the pink dress, and her dog's in the film. So, there is a couple of references to the first movie coming back in the MEG 2. Some repeat characters. I, for one, am glad that Ruby Rose is not in it. Yeah, I am. I don't care the fact that I'm Australian and she's Australian. Just it's a better film without her. Another thing that was a bit disappointing is it doesn't actually explain anything about what happened to Lee Binbin's character Suying. It doesn't. It just says that in 2021 she died. And that's all we find out. We don't find out how she died. We don't find out what her relationship with Jonas ended up being. So Mei Ying seems to be Jonas's stepdaughter, but there's no kind of explanation about how that relationship came to be. Now, Wu Jing plays Jiu Ming, and he is Mei Ying's real uncle in the film. Yeah, that makes sense, right? He's her real uncle in the film. His character is the brother of Su Ying from the first movie, and obviously the dad as well. And he makes a couple of references to that. And you also see Li Bingbing and the father in the film through some pictures that goes through. And that's, there's been the other issue that I've had with this movie about the whole Manor One setup. It looks very, very well set up. I really wished that the movie had just focused on being a shark film. And again, it was something that I mentioned in the review that I did of the film, that there's a subplot in the movie about sharks mating. It's mating season for the MEGs. And I'm sitting there in my seat thinking, wow, that would have been a much better topic for the film, right? Imagine you've got Jonas and Juming have got to try and get the MEGs back under the thermal cloud because they've come out of the thermal cloud, and maybe that needs to be explained a bit more. Because they've started to mate, and now they've got to try and figure out what they're going to do with all these extra MEGs. Like, to me, that would have been a great story to explore. Instead, they've gone down this whole, well, there's a bad group of bad guys here. They're doing this mining, and we've got to stop this mining operation. Oh, and by the way, there's some sharks. No, doesn't work. This movie very much gives off a feeling of a Chinese monster film. Now, Chinese monster films aren't that bad. They're actually quite a lot of fun. And the Meg 2 plays up to that. But I think it needed to lean more into its Americanness and less into its Chineseness. And we needed to get a more proper Meg movie, not a China does a Meg 2 film. So if you're planning to see this, enjoy it. Look, there's no reason why you shouldn't enjoy it. Just, you're not going to get a lot of shark. It's a lot more action than shark. And be forewarned about that. If you're going to wait for video, well, that's probably a good idea. Maybe just watch it at home on a nice big screen and a nice loud sound system. You'll get a lot out of the film. Visual effects are terrific. I actually thought visually, with the exception of the octopus, I thought the actual visual effects in the movie were terrific. And it's good to see. It's good to see that the movie at least tries to do a lot of the stunts themselves, and you can see that in the behind the scenes video. That's Jason Statham tries to do a lot of his own stunts, and so does Wu Jing. And in fact, there's a scene where Wu Jing kind of dives out of the helicopter that really reminded me of Wolf Warrior 2. So that's a bit of a rundown on the Meg 2. If you've seen it or want to see it, drop a comment below. We'll have a chat about it. Before we head off, we've got a comment here about a martial arts film called Ba Jiao Long Zhong. And that is, in English, called Never Say Never. That is the latest film from Wang Baoqiang. That movie is being released this week as well in cinemas. It's also released a couple of weeks ago in China. So worldwide gets it this week. That's coming from our friends at China Lion. And it's a great film. So if you get a chance to go see this Never Say Never, and you want to see something a little bit different, it's a great film. It's a 2-hour-long film that did not feel like 2 hours at all. There is a review on the channel if you'd like to, go back into the channel and have a look. Never Say Never is the title. Ba Jiao Long Zhong is the Chinese title of the film. As KL says here in the comment, it was a good one that they had watched recently, and I wholeheartedly agree with them. It's a terrific film.